The Mercedes-Benz W136 was Mercedes-Benz's line of inline four-cylinder automobiles from the mid-1930s into the 1950s. The Model 170V made its public debut as successor to the W15 Typ 170 in February 1936. Between 1936 and 1939 it was Mercedes' top-selling model. Between 1936 and 1942 over 75,000 were built, making it by far the most popular Mercedes-Benz model up till that point. Enough of the W136's tooling survived Allied bombing during World War II for it to serve as the foundation upon which the company could rebuild. By 1947 the Model 170V had resumed its place as Mercedes' top seller, a position it held until 1953. The V in the 170Vs was an abbreviation of Vaughan, added to differentiate it from the contemporary rear-engined Mercedes-Benz 170h, which used the same four-cylinder 1697cc engine, but positioned at the back of the car. Engine. The 1.7-litre four-cylinder rear-wheel drive Mercedes-Benz 170V was introduced in 1936 to replace the 1.7-litre six-cylinder Mercedes-Benz 170. Despite their similar engine capacities, the new car's side-valve M136 was more powerful. The manual transmission was 4-speed synchromesh. Claimed maximum power was 38 picoseconds at 3,400 rpms at an initial compression ratio of 6:1. Mileage was 10 litres per 100 kilometers. The engine was attached using just two mountings and set the standard for smoothness for four-cylinder motors. Bodywork options, most of the cars produced, and an even higher proportion of those that survive, were two- or four-door limousine saloon sedan-bodied cars, but the range of different body types offered in the 1930s for the 170V was unusually broad. A four-door cabrio limousine combined the four doors of the four-door limousine with a full-length fold-away canvas roof. Both the four-door bodies were also available adapted for taxi work, with large luggage racks at the back. There was a two-door two-seater Cabriolet A, and a two-door four-seater Cabriolet B, both with luggage storage behind the seats and beneath the storage location of the hood when folded. A common feature of the 170V bodies was external storage of the spare wheel on the car's rear panel. The two-seater Roadster featured a large flap behind the two seats with a thinly upholstered rear partition, and which could be used either as substantial luggage platform or as a very uncomfortable bench, the so-called mother-in-law's seat. In addition to the wide range of passenger far-bodied 170 Versus, a small commercial variant was offered either as a flatbed truck or with a box body on the back. Special versions of the 170V were offered, adapted for use as ambulances or by the police, mountain rescue services and military. 1946 to 1955, during the war the Mercedes-Benz plant suffered very severe bomb damage, but the manufacturer nevertheless emerged from the trauma of war with a significant competitive advantage over many of its pre-war competitors. Manufacturers including Adler, BMW and Ford in Germany had been heavily dependent for the supply of steel car bodies on Ambi Budd, whose Berlin plant was destroyed by bombing in 1943, its site now ended up in the Soviet occupation zone. The manufacturing plants of Horch, Wanderer and BMW were located in what in July 1945 became the Soviet-controlled part of Germany. None of these manufacturers could resume volume production without first finding a way to obtain and fund a source of steel car bodies and access to a suitable plant for auto assembly. Mercedes-Benz, however, retained ownership of and access to its car plant. Production restarted in May 1946. The vehicles produced were versions of the 170V, but in 1946 only 214 vehicles were produced and they were all light trucks or ambulances. Passenger car production resumed in July 1947, but volumes were still very low, with just 1,045 170 Versus produced that year. There was no return for the various open-topped models from the 1930s. Customers for a Mercedes-Benz 170V passenger car were restricted to the four-door limousine sedan saloon-bodied car. Production did ramp up during the next couple of years, and in 1949 170V production returned to above 10,000 cars. From May 1949 the car, badged in this permutation as the Mercedes-Benz 170D, was offered with an exceptionally economical 38 picoseconds diesel engine. The 170D was the world's third diesel-fueled passenger car, and the first to be introduced after the war. 170 seconds. Lacking a luxury car in its lineup, Mercedes sought to regain a niche in that market by introducing the upscale 170S version of the 170V in 1949. It was more luxurious, costlier and, when launched, slightly larger than the 170V, distinctions the company made an effort to emphasize. Though sometimes referred to today as the first S-Class Mercedes-Benz, that designation did not yet exist. A pair of 170S derivations followed, the 170SB and 170DS diesel models, earning the 170S series its own chassis code, W191. The 170S series retained the separate internal designation until the 1953 introduction of Mercedes' new W120/180 Ponton, when the 170S was downsized to the 170V's body. This hybrid was given the designation 170SV, and repositioned below the 180 in the company lineup. Production of the 170SV ended in 1955. The Mercedes-Benz 170SV and 170SD were also built briefly in Argentina from 1952 to 1955 in sedan, taxi, pickup and van versions. Police special equals. In 1951 and 1952 Mercedes-Benz produced a 170D OTP version for police use. This was effectively a four-door cabriolet, although the hood was of rather a thin material and basic structure when compared to the 170 cabriolets of the 1930s. It was a requirement that all the cars should be painted in police green, but in the end most of the cars delivered to the police were painted blue. Although the car was provided only for the use of official bodies, it incorporated several technical and other features, including for the first time on a 170 car a trunk boot accessible from the outside via a hinged lid, which soon afterwards appeared on other upgraded W136s. This is one of the rarest models. Very few are known to remain in existence and certainly not fully restored. A single one known to have been painstakingly fully restored in the United States is the closest to factory original in existence today. 1950 upgrade equals. In May 1950 the 170V and 170D received a power upgrade with a larger 1.8-litre version of the M136 engine. At this stage there was no name change to reflect the increased engine size. At the same time safety was improved with the incorporation of telescopic shock absorbers, a wider rear track, and stronger brakes. Attention in this upgrade was also applied to comfort with the passenger cabin widened by 50 mm and larger seats. The luggage compartment at the back finally became accessible from outside, using a boot trunk lid, and ventilation was improved. To differentiate them from the existing models, the petrol, gasoline and diesel versions of the upgraded cars were designated internally as the Mercedes-Benz 170V and Mercedes-Benz 170D. 1952 upgrade equals. A further upgrade took place in May 1952, accompanied by new suffixes for the name. The Mercedes-Benz 170VB and Mercedes-Benz 170DB now featured new single-piece bumpers. The rear track was widened by a further 18 mm. The two rows of vertical ventilation slats that had till now adorned the sides of the bonnet hood were replaced by a pair of horizontal slats on each side. The windscreen wipers, which had hitherto been attached at the top of the windscreen frame, were now attached at the bottom, the screen itself also having been slightly, if imperceptibly, enlarged. The 170VB and 170DB remained in production for just over a year, till August 1953. 1953 upgrade equals. With the appearance of the new Ponton-bodied Mercedes-Benz 180 in 1953, the 170 models suddenly appeared very old-fashioned. The 170V was delisted in September 1953. In July 1953 the manufacturer had replaced the existing 170S with a reduced specification 170SV. The car that resulted combined the slightly larger body from the 170S with the less powerful 45 picoseconds engine that had previously powered the 170V. The vehicle provided reduced performance but at a reduced price, while salesmen steered more prosperous buyers to the new ponton-bodied 180. The diesel-powered 170S continued to be sold, now branded as the 170SD. The internal Euro OE W191 Euro designation which had distinguished the previous 170SS was removed, and the 170SS manufactured from 1953 returned to the Euro OE W136 Euro Works designation that they had shared with the 170V till the end of 1951. In September 1955 the last Mercedes-Benz W136, the Mercedes-Benz 170S was withdrawn from production. Model numbers, W136, 1935 Euro 1942, 170V Sedan Cabriolet, 1946 Euro 1950, 170V Sedan Cabriolet, 1949 Euro 1952, 170 SSBC, 1950 Euro 1952, 170 Virginia, 1952 Euro 1953, 170 VB, 1949 Euro 1952, 170S, 1949 Euro 1950, 170D, 1950 Euro 1952. 170 DA OTP, 1952 Euro 1953, 170 DB, 1953 Euro 1955, 170 SV, 1953 Euro 1955, 170 SD. Gallery. Timeline. References, Oswald, Werner. Deutsche Autos 1920-1945, Band 2. Motorbuch Verlag. ISBN 3-613-02170-6. Oswald, Werner. Deutsche Autos 1945-1990, Band 4. Motorbuch Verlag. ISBN 3-613-02131-5. This entry incorporates information from the German Wikipedia equivalent article. External links, Mercedes-Benz 1702 Duo Club website, Mercedes-Benz 1702 Duo Club forum, restoration project, Mercedes-Benz 170V Cabrio.